A very good afternoon to our esteemed panelists, revered faculty members, and the curious minds among the students gathered here today. To set the tone for today's discussion, allow us to share a thought. Sustainability is not a department, it's a mindset, and HR is where that mindset begins. This sentence echoes our central idea today that HR is no longer a support function, but the custodian of purpose, sustainability, and culture in modern organizations. On behalf of Indian Institute of Management, Amritsar, I, Tanisha Taparia, along with Shefali Tevatia, welcome you all to YUKTI 25, the 10th annual HR Conclave of IIM Amritsar. YUKTI is more than just a conclave. It's a platform to converse, collaborate, and co-create ideas with some of the most dynamic HR minds in the country. Today, we have the honor of hosting another panel of seasoned industry professionals who will share their thoughts on sustainability and purposefulness in modern organizations. Let's get up for an inspiring session that promises to spark ideas, ignite passion, and lead us with a vision to drive meaningful change in the business world. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं मनीषाः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. May the well-being of all people be protected by the powerful and almighty leaders with law and justice. May the success that comes with knowledge and substance thrive and all beings be happy. As the workforce seeks deeper meaning, transparency, and alignment, it is HR that must lead the way, embedding purpose with policy, sustainability into every stage of your journey. HR's true leadership lies not just in managing talent, but in guiding the institution itself towards the path of collective well-being, long-term responsibility, and meaningful impact. It gives us immense time to navigate the need for second HR panel. HR is the custodian of sustainability and purpose. In today's evolving business landscape, sustainability is no longer just a symbolic gesture or an optional initiative. It has become a central business priority. It now plays a vital role in shaping how companies operate, building an employer brand, and responding to the expectations of a socially conscious workforce. This need emphasizes the vital role of HR in increasing sustainability and purpose in every layer of the organization, be it hiring, learning and development, performance, or rewards. HR is at the forefront of connecting individual values with organizational goals. It also involves promoting these skills, linking ESG targets to performance evaluations, and encouraging a culture where every employee feels responsible for sustainable growth. By balancing sustainability and purpose at the heart of HR practices, organizations can build genuine employer brands, boost engagement, and create a lasting impact, not just in business but in society. With that, we are delighted to invite Ms. Bhavya Awasthi and Ms. Vartika Srivastava to take us to today's theme.
Good afternoon, everyone. We talk about sustainability in terms of solar panels, electric fleets, and green buildings. But what if I told you that the real engine behind sustainable businesses isn't infrastructure, it's HR? Gone are the days when HR was about paychecks and policies. Today, the most progressive organizations are using HR as a sustainability partner. In fact, according to McKinsey's global survey, ESG-driven companies aren't just talking, they're leading it. About a third of their employees report that the company's ESG initiative makes them more committed and less likely to leave. Why? Because people want purpose, and HR is the gatekeeper of that purpose. I'm Raja Basti, and this is Vartika Srivastava. And today, let's decode how HR is the custodian of sustainability and purpose.
We often hear the term sustainability or sustainability and assume that it is a more recent ordeal. However, where we are today and the path we are taking to get to this point is long in hindsight. Take for example the triple development approach. Planet, people, profit, the simple equation of sustainability. However, when the businesses were organized, this equation is exactly the opposite. Profit was the first and foremost priority of all business organizations. It started with the Industrial Revolution. Mass production was booming on heavy coal dependency. Carbon emission levels were off the chart, and there was major workforce exploitation. And then came the labor reforms. The workforce became more aware, more vocal of their rights, and the companies finally started to acknowledge the people aspect. Simultaneously, there was a growing need to pull back and address the issues of sustainability. With natural disasters like the London storm of 1952 and the world was escalating distress, the companies truly needed to stop and review policies. And this led to a shift towards the planet. Today, we are at a point where the workforce does not just want to work, they want to actively engage in organizations and social initiatives. And this is not happen overnight. It happened because organizations put in the work. From implementing corporate social responsibilities to regulating policies and ultimately making sustainability a core competency. Organizations today are trying to create a safe space, not just for their employees, but also for the planet. And that is the difference in HR.
Now, let us try to understand the roles and responsibilities of HR. I mean, why are we calling it the custodian of sustainability? Well, Gen Z and millennials, which make up about 70% of the workforce population by the year 2030, are growing more and more eco-conscious day by day. In fact, according to Deloitte, 7 out of 10 of them believe that the company's environmental credentials are important in choosing it as an employer. Hence, HR is involved at every stage of the employee life cycle. So, from hiring and onboarding by inclusion of the ESG goals directly into the job description, to training and development of green skills, and finally, to a linking of the rewards and bonuses directly to the ESG targets, HR not just creates a culture, it builds organizations that are future-ready, purpose-driven, and sustainable from the inside out. Now, let us try to understand some of the challenges faced by HR in incorporating sustainability into the work culture.
There are many organizations with amazing innovative initiatives and policies that they wish to implement. But they are not able to do so. Why? Because of real skills gap. Because the workforce today is not equipped with the right kind of knowledge and the right kind of skills they will need to be able to practice those policies. But let's say we teach them. We equip them with all the knowledge and skills they will need. We still have a long way to go. And that brings us to our second challenge, which is bureaucratic regulations. Because when it comes to policies pertaining to sustainability, there are heavy regulations that must be followed diligently. In fact, according to Accenture, many CFOs feel pressure from at least 3 stakeholders. And that is why they perform regulatory activities such as ESG reporting as a mere checking box, as just a formative activity, instead of viewing it as an opportunity to incorporate due diligence into their work. The third challenge we face is output equilibrium. We need to balance our short-term profitability goals with our long-term sustainability goals. And that is a tricky balance to achieve. Young CEOs and young leaders as high as 49% believe that However, the rest 51% are still focused on quality returns. Hence, they have a more myopic vision in how sustainability can be a part of the future. The next challenge is talent management. The Indian generation workforce today is more aware of the kind of organizations they want to work with. They are willing to walk away if their personal missions do not align with the company. Reports state that young cohorts are twice as likely to offer contingent resources because they provide them autonomy to opt for sustainable projects and purpose-driven gains. Therefore, hiring and retaining this kind of talent is a complex issue. Finally, this leads us to our biggest challenge, which is rebrand legacy. 62% of consumers today expect brands to have a clear standing on issues like sustainability. And when stated purpose does not align with their action, 42% of said consumers are willing to walk away from these brands. And this is the need we have to rewrite ourselves. We need to be more just a company that's working in production or service. We want to be a company that's working for the planet.
Now, let us look at an example of a company that has taken a good few steps in order to address some of these challenges. That is Unilever. So Unilever got into a bit of hot waters recently because of its whole palm oil controversy. And what it has done to address these issues is actually important. First, it has set up a public grievance system in order to address the abuses that are faced by suppliers. This isn't just a band-aid. It brings accountability and responsibility into action. Second is the ESG-linked pay. The rewards and bonuses at all levels of the organization, including the executive level, have been directly linked to the ESG targets. In fact, 15% of all executive bonuses have been directly linked to the SPI, which is the Sustainability Progress Index. This ensures that there is motivation at all levels of the organization to meet the ESG targets. Third is the emphasis on green upskilling. Unilever carries out green skill development programs at different departments. It tracks its employees' progress and carries out assessments to ensure that employees aren't merely participating, they're actually learning. This makes their employees eco-tech savvy. And lastly, it's the Unilever Compass. So Unilever isn't just growth oriented, it is future oriented. It launched the Sustainable Living Plan in the year 2010, which aims to decouple growth from environmental damage. After a decade of progress, it evolved into the Unilever Compass in the year 2020, which is a bold, purpose-driven strategy that puts sustainability at the heart of business, aiming for net zero emissions, social equity, and a waste-free world by the year 2030. All such initiatives ensure that Unilever is ready to take on sustainability challenges in the future head-on.
However, Unilever is not the only company, it is not the only brand that leads on sustainable practices. There are many companies that have brought the creative vision to life. As we all know, artificial intelligence is an inevitable part of businesses going forward. And a company that has come up with a beautiful way of incorporating data is Microsoft. Microsoft has launched a plan called AI for All, where they provide tools and training programs to employees. So alongside the algorithm, the workforce is also learning. The next is ESG reports. ESG reports ensure that there is transparency and accountability at every step. And a company which truly addresses ESG metrics is Infosys. Infosys has been carbon neutral for 5 years ago. It has a brilliant water conservation system that involves injection and rainwater harvesting systems. Additionally, Infosys has 90% local hires, and these local hires benefit from their carbon offset programs. So, they give it back to society. The next trend is digitalization and hybridization. Up to 54% of carbon emissions can be reduced by digitizing work. And this was observed in PwC's IIM office. After they formalized hybridization, it was observed that employees who opted for hybrid work had a carbon dioxide emission reduction by 20 times.
and Nike has accomplished this. 75% of Nike's suppliers are measuring their improvement. 87% of Nike's working locations are safe and hazard-free. Additionally, they have up to 67% equity ratio in many of their organizations. All of these companies were able to bring their vision to life, not just because they had purpose and motivation, but because they wanted to make a change towards the planet for the better. To wrap up, here are our core insights. Sustainable HR core. HR builds the foundation of sustainability, embedding it directly into the hiring, training, rewards, and culture. Second is purpose alignment. Today's workforce expects more than compensation, and HR ties the roles to purpose, thereby creating meaning and motivation at work. Third is impact metrics. With the right set of tools and KPIs, HR makes sustainability measurable, trackable, and transparent, thereby turning ambition into action. And lastly, scalable sustainability. So from pilot initiatives to organization-wide changes, HR ensures that sustainability efforts grow with the organization. Hence, it can be concluded that sustainability isn't just a corporate responsibility, it's a growth strategy, it's a competitive edge. And for the workforce of today, purpose is the new paycheck. So if sustainability is the destination, then HR is the vehicle that gets us there. Not someday, but today. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavya and Vartika, for your wonderful presentation. It was truly informative and thought-provoking. True strategic HR leadership is not just about managing the present, it's about shaping a sustainable and purposeful future. It's not really about policies and processes, but about inspiring a shared vision, aligning values, and embedding long-term impact into every corner of the organization. The most forward-looking HR leaders are the ones who adapt, innovate, and lead with courage to integrate purpose into strategy and sustainability into culture. Now, it's time to turn our attention to the next segment of the conclave, the much-awaited introduction of our distinguished speakers. Starting with Dr. Prasant Narayan, a distinguished human resources leader with 3 decades of diverse experience, currently serving as the Chief Human Resources Officer of Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals Limited. Dr. Prasant Narayan holds a B.Tech and Doctorate in Management from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, bringing a rare combination of academic excellence and strategic HR leadership at the table. His career began at GTC Alston, followed by leadership roles at the RPG Group. He went on to lead HR at Thomas Cook, as well as serving on the Global HR Council of Thomas Cook PLC. Later, as Global HR Head at Cipla, he led large-scale transformation across global meetings. Dr. Nair is also the co-founder of Zinc HR, a leading SaaS-based HR tech platform. Passionate about startups, he continues to engage actively with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, mentoring and supporting emerging ventures. Outside of work, he is deeply interested in mathematics, spirituality, and the evolving future of work, making him a truly multi-dimensional leader who bridges business impact with human insight. It is with utmost reverence that we humbly request Dr. Prasant Narayan to deliver his address. Would you please join us on the stage, sir?
Second half? No? Okay, so first of all, thank you for getting me here. After the presentation, I will make honest views whether you are actually trying to get me here or is it something else. Okay? So let's start. The first question that I want to ask you is that why are you here? There are four options, and this can only be these four options. Okay. First option is that something you do it again, which is most likely the case. In fact, when I was a student, I had quite some moves ago. We had this placement talks given by companies. We had this compulsory attendance roster. So I'm about the very strict attendance. It's not if you don't attend. We have about 6 companies in Custodian. If you don't attend those companies, your drop points and your course. So most likely that is the case. The second possibility given time as you're moving down your weekend, you're doing some girlfriends, the third option is learn. And the fourth option is that someone will be telling more about this. So I don't know how many I don't know. I wish I had made it that I tried to ask. Maybe I should have got any access. Anyone who is bold enough to say that I came because number one, okay. So any guess, what are the learnings that we derive from this course? Which category will associate better? Number one? Number two? Number three? Yes. And number four? Yes. So you know the difference between forced work and lively work. Right? And there are three categories. The first category is the forced to. The second category is the and that's essential difference between what they talk about processes and push, or policies and push, and purposes like imagination or enthusiasm. And that's a challenge that all of us face. All of us face in terms of HR, in terms of designing the organization. Is it better to push people through policies? Or is it better to get them to the highest level of enthusiasm to actually drive on their own volition? It's easy to say second, but as the scale increases, we need a combination. And the art of leadership is to get that balance right. Okay. I'll give you, you would have heard, I think they used a term called greenwashing. I was wondering what this term is about. I had to Google myself. Okay, what is this greenwashing? Okay. But a mission statement is usually a long, awkward sentence that demonstrates the management's inability to think clearly. Okay? And what and any mission statement, any purpose statement, these are the words that we get. They talk about sustainability, they talk about improving lives. It's got that, right? What if you follow the lead, right? But I'm going to talk to you about an incident. I'm not working at an organization, I've experienced an organization. Many of you would have. And this is a real incident, right? This is about 26/11/2008. How many of you are from Bombay? Yeah, some from Bombay, and all of you, the memory of that event is still there if you are old enough for that. time. But something remarkable happened. Okay, can you just click on that YouTube link and put on the sound? If it's difficult, it's okay. Yes, can you just click on that? Yeah. Just put the sound on.
ये आवाजें पहले साजिद मीर की जो मुंबई के 26 रेवेन्यू अटैक्स में शामिल थे। 26 नवंबर 2008 की शाम में 10 टेररिस्ट मुंबई के साउथ कोस्ट में आए थे और उन्होंने अटैक स्टार्ट करे जो 3 दिन तक चले। इनमें से एक अटैक हुआ ताज होटल। अब इस अटैक में 170 से ज्यादा लोग मारे गए और कई कहानियां भी उभर कर आई, इससे कई लोगों की जान बची। जैसे 26 नवंबर को आज होटल में सेकंड फ्लोर के बैंक्वेट रूम में हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर की डिनर पार्टी चल रही थी। इस इवेंट को मैनेज कर रहे थे 35 ताज के एम्प्लॉइज और बैंक्वेट मैनेजर थी 24 साल की मलिका जगह। रात के 9:30 बजे जब मेन कोर्स सर्व होने वाला था, उस बैंक्वेट रूम में लोगों ने पटाखे जैसी आवाजें सुनी। ताज के स्टाफ को रियलाइज हो गया कि कुछ गड़बड़ है। मलिका ने तुरंत दरवाजे लॉक किए, लाइटें बंद करी, सभी लोगों को टेबल्स के नीचे चुपचाप छुपने के लिए कहा और मोबाइल फोन्स ना यूज करने के लिए कहा गया। स्टाफ ने ये भी कहा कि हस्बैंड और वाइफ को अलग करना चाहिए ताकि फैमिलीज पर रिस्क ना हो। पूरी रात ये ग्रुप उसी रूम में रहा, कंचर्स और ग्रेनेड्स की आवाज सुनते और इसी दौरान ताज के एम्प्लॉइज एकदम शांति से काम कर रहे थे। वो गेस्ट को पानी दे रहे थे और पूछते कि क्या उनको कुछ और चीज की जरूरत है या फिर नहीं। अगली सुबह एक फायर क्रू ने इस पूरे ग्रुप को इवैक्यूएट किया और पूरे ग्रुप में एक भी व्यक्ति की मौत नहीं हुई। और मलिका की अकेली कहानी नहीं है ताज के होटल से, आपको ऐसी कई कहानियां मिल जाएंगी ताज के स्टाफ की बहादुरी की। यहाँ तक कि हार्वर्ड बिजनेस स्कूल के प्रोफेसर ने ताज के स्टाफ पर एक केस स्टडी लिखी है ये जानने के लिए कि ताज के स्टाफ में ऐसा था क्या जिसकी वजह से वो इतने बहादुर थे, और इस चीज पर एक मूवी भी बनी है। इनको देखिए, ये थे एक कैप्टन एक साउथ कोरियन फेरी थे।
The captain and 14 crew members who received 5 to 30 years in prison were among the first to abandon ship.
इस फेरी हादसे में कई लोगों की मौत हुई थी और सरप्राइजिंग बात यह है कि जब ये फेरी पलट रही थी तो सारा क्रू इस शिप को छोड़कर भाग गया था अपनी जान बचाने के लिए, क्योंकि ताज होटल में एक भी स्टाफ मेंबर होटल को छोड़कर नहीं गया अपनी जान बचाने के लिए। तो सवाल ये होता है कि ऐसा क्यों था, इसी के बारे में मैं बताना चाहता हूँ आपको इस वीडियो में।
You can watch the video and you can, if you're further interested, you can read that Bible business basically about why might anyone be willing to sacrifice his life or her life, and then what people do. Why might anyone be willing to do that for the cause of the organization? And we're not talking about armed forces organization, we're talking about normal corporate commercial organizations, many of you where it's supposed to be that people join for the sake of compensation and development. Why not? You saw the contrast in that South Korean ship. What does it? Why would people do that? Anybody? Yeah. Okay, what else? Yeah. You can shout. Pardon? Okay, what else? You raise your hand. Yeah.
Sir, a sense of responsibility and belonging to the organization.
Why did that South Korean ship did not have that? So, and that brings me to the fact that there is something which is not written, which cannot be described in words and letters, and that is called culture. And purpose is not part of the culture. Okay? If you walk in, it's a great purpose, but you walk over if you walk over if you walk through any find different ones. And I'm not qualifying one better than the other. Don't get me wrong. And the vibes are different, and that's exactly what is going on in my culture, and that's exactly how we define the process of organization. I worked in an organization, I'm not going to specific organization, and I worked in an organization some time back, and that's called system. So when I joined the organization, there was not a single mission or purpose statement for some time. It was not there. But if you ask an average medical representative or a factory worker, what does this stand for? He will actually turn around and say, "Achha dawai, come down basis." Okay? And that was strengthened when the management decided sometime in 2008 epidemic was there. And Glaxo's perspective was estimating the per patient, per year, the cost of treatment was $50,000. And Silla made a treatment available and treatment diagnosis for the persons in the world. That's $1 a day to compare for 15 years. And every employee says, I don't know this is fact. So the purpose is clear. Purpose will not be written in this bombastic statements. Purpose is spent, purpose is exist. And that's happened. Purpose washing does not exist. Okay? So, in terms of time, you can ask questions. I think the students are brilliantly, why are you talking about purpose? Purpose is important, and we will not talk about it. Can you? No, what? This is a personal friend of mine. Okay? Can you just say this he's a friend of mine. He's my classmate. Yeah, so in engineering college, I studied my engineering college in many of you coming from IITs. Okay, coming from NITs. Fantastic. So I did not get an IIT or IIT. I'm very happy to be addressing people who are coming from NITs. And he studied at one college in Kerala, and he was my classmate. And we used to joke, I used to ask him where do you want to go after, if you get a job, where do you want to go? And I was very clear I want to go to India. Okay? He said that I want to do this, I'm going to do this success. So the joke was that in Kerala that every third engineer passes out from engineering college. How many of you are from Kerala? The joke, you will know the joke, is that every third engineer who comes out of Kerala will get into ISRO. And the whole work they do is to send rockets to the sea, So I used to joke about it. Okay? Now this guy went to ISRO and sees this.
While the Earth story propagating was continued more than 16 hours alone. Biology propagates
किया गया है कई तरह से कॉमर्स ने ऑटोमेटिक लॉन्च सीक्वेंस शुरू कर दिया है और लॉन्च हुई है LVM3 and 4 रॉकेट ऑटोमेटिक लॉन्च सीक्वेंस के ऑटोमेटिक लॉन्च सीक्वेंस ऑन बोर्ड डॉक्टर पूरी तरह से चले हो चुका है
Okay, absolutely. And this is, by the way, this is the same poster in examination. You sit in front of me, after the examination of 3 years, 2.5 hours, used to complete everything, keep the papers and so on. And I used to get 10. Okay. Why? What drives people in ISRO? Just an example. They get the compensation level to be what level of an MBA? What drives them? What drives them? This is Chandrayaan launch, by the way. He's sending the vehicle director, is the vehicle director, is sending the guy. What drives them? Absolutely. Got it, absolutely right. And that's what I call okay? So this is one model of 3 I's. Okay? And this is exactly what HR is, right? Identity, influence, and administration. If you can manage a person's identity, what he wants, get him or her inspired, that creates the influence of the person's society and market. Many times in corporate world, we forget the individual. But unless the person is inspired, something that he wants, she wants in life, unless you make that connection, you will not unlock it. And that's exactly what happens in the case of workers. Someone was asking me, this man was asking me, how was the recruitment journey? Okay? So right now on 29th of the month, I get one SMS. You know what SMS? One of the best SMSs that you can get. After the 3 words, after I love you, this is the best SMS. Okay, what is the SMS? But boys and girls, when you are on the other side of the table, when you have to predict salaries, I remember Arjuna's first chapter in Gita, for those who read about that. Okay? Your hair stands on end, you are unable to see what next you have to mortgage. Okay? So, but people are successful, people do that. This is mine, because it's something I want to do. Something I want to achieve. That's the identity. And this is where we need to drive policies. We'll talk about that later in the panel discussion. So, this is what we've done in Conclave. This is our purpose, and I'll show you a small example of how we want to do that. Can we just take a minute? So, we said that we are not going to boil the ocean on fire. We actually said we are not going to boil the ocean on fire as far as CSR is concerned. We integrated it with this. We integrated it with something that we can manage. And what is our business? Electrical industry. So we said, let's combine that with something of a social good. So we went to a village near our plant. Okay? And we are going to replicate this in all the plants that we have. There are rural girls who are forced to manage at the age of 16, 15, the moment that they get into the world. But they have dreams. The society is poorer if they don't come and unleash their dreams. So we provided an opportunity for them. We started with a group of 17 years. Now they are all meaningfully employed in an environment, a small place like Mama. Just watch this video for them. Just listen. Oh. That's why I said. So this is what we did. And when did it affect? There were 17 girls who got the benefit of this. 17 families. Because we moved from one level to another. So, sorry for this, I made this presentation in the flight. So, some jumbled up here small. So, my model of CSR or sustainability is that at the basic level, basic hygiene for a corporate business is you need to pay taxes. You need to fulfill the rules of the game. That's the basic level. Without this, nothing is easy. The second is, because the law mandates you do CSR in Indian society. The third level is you feel they are integrated with the business. The fourth is it becomes a journey for everyone associated with the organization, employees, stakeholders. And I'm very proud to say that I'm proud to move from meaningful CSR to integration business. They are the you know about it. This year, further, I can give more examples in the talk. We have done several other things, and I will have interest this time. So this is what I want to say, and I'll take some slides. But remember one thing, I just want to highlight this is purpose without action is a sin. Action without purpose is the number 2 option. Time pass. If you want to change yourself and your immediate world, you need to combine purposes. Let's have to this. Let's have some points. Thank you. Okay. He's given me a lot of homework here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for the valuable perspectives on the session. It is now my privilege to introduce our panelists, Mr. Amarjeet Singh, a distinguished human resource leader with 23 years of diverse global experience, currently serving as the Chief Human Resource Officer for the B2B business at Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited. He is spearheading a strategic HR transformation journey, aligning people, culture, and capability with organizations' growth vision. He brings rich global experience across the entire HR spectrum, including talent management, HR strategy, organizational design, and HR operations excellence. With deep expertise in people analytics, workforce planning, and M&A integration. Mr. Amarjeet has successfully led the HR function in setting up greenfield and brownfield plants globally, delivering robust process design, operational excellence, and compliance. With a strong foundation in talent acquisition, he has built high-impact recruitment strategies, campus and employer branding programs, and automated recruitment operations to scale diverse talent pipelines. His commitment to continuous improvement is backed by certifications including MBTI and DEI practitioner, Six Sigma Green Belt, and Six Sigma sponsor. Recognized with multiple awards for business impact and inclusion, he is known for leading people-driven transformation that delivers measurable and lasting value. We request you to kindly join us in this debate. Up next, we have Mr. Sumanta Kumar Chaudhary, the Vice President and Head of Human Resources at Vodafone Idea Limited. He brings over 24 years of diverse experience across organizational development, business transformation, and people strategy in sectors such as telecom, pharma, and retail. With a strong strategic vision, he has been instrumental in leading large-scale initiatives in cultural transformation, leadership development, and fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion. An SHR SCP certified professional and a retention coach, Mr. Chaudhary is deeply committed to enabling human-centered and sustainable leadership. His impact and contributions to the HR domain have earned national recognition, including being one of the top 20 inspiring HR minds of 2025
Good afternoon, everyone. It's very interesting. If you look at the photographs, all three of us seems to have changed.
I was telling that we took these pictures a couple of decades back for our competition charts when we took a PDC goal. It still exists there.
The other thing that we all three of us discovered today while preparing for this conference is that all three of us can converse in Bengali, apart from English and Hindi. So if there are any questions in Bengali, we'll be really happy to take it. Okay, great. Okay, all of you stand up, all the students stand up. So all of you have heard about AI, right? Is there anyone who has not heard of AI? Am I married? So how many of you have used agentic AI for coaching? How many of you have used agentic AI for coaching? So that person can sit down. How many of you have heard use Suno for composing songs? Sit down. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Sit down. Somebody standing? Just wanted to lighten the concept. Okay, so what I'll do is that I've had my say of what I thought of the purpose and how the link system capability purposes. Think of the three I's: identity, influence, inspiration. And that's where HR intervention needs to be focused on. And also think about the hierarchy in which organizations can take sustainability. Okay? So I will invite Amarjit to share his views on this topic. And you want to present something?
No, not. So, we have been talking with few of the students, engineers, and trying to figure out how many of you are aware that there was a buzzword in corporate and HR was being held accountable for diversity and inclusion?
नहीं घाट ही रहूगा पता नहीं मैं एक बार बोल से 2000
and then it became a matrix in organizations.
वो फिर मोबाइल
So as I say, what gets measured gets done. So all the organizations are trying to have everything without thinking what is the journey. Then in due course they learn some pitfalls are there, and then they course correct it, and then we have PTI, diversity, equity and inclusion. Because once you start on journey on one side, you'll offset the other. So they start. Now, couple of years back, Safety announced that PRSI. How many of you know PRSI? Come on, boys. Finance and finance. So, it's business responsibility and sustainability reporting. CB made it mandatory for all the listed companies to report PRSI reports every quarter. Now, annual report for sure they have to file. So what happened? ESG became a buzzword in the organization and people started looking at it. Because most of the parameters here is related to sustainability and then financial fraud and everything got kind of taken together and then started building. It's a journey which has started and many of the organizations still not very clear what they want to do in ESG or sustainability or what everybody is talking about net zero. Somebody wants to be net zero tomorrow, somebody wanted it yesterday, and somebody wants for 2050. India had said that it will be 2050 net zero. So everybody started working it. So whatever we want to drive, anything which is coming new, talk about AI, again the same story. People were not clear how AI can be leveraged. Still, it's perceived as a threat. I think Sujit made a very good statement that you have to coexist. You have to find a way to collaborate with these buzzwords which can come in. if you are sustainable, and then there is a purpose. So you have to define the purpose of why you are doing certain things. Even sustainability itself, you need to define the purpose of sustainability. Doing CSR activities, I think nobody does CSR better than the Tata Group, right? They are kind of there. If you talk about CSR, they are doing this for the time Tata Steel was set up. In the form of that, they made that colony conversation where people were living together. Then they realized hospitals are required, schools are required, recreation is required, everything is built there. The ecosystem was built. And the purpose was to have an environment where the job and the life, which is family or can coexist. So you need to find a purpose for everything what you're doing. So I can get up and say, okay, I operate in this particular area, and in Conclave, so there's a lot of activities. My personal organization, you know about companies such as AI and this model. Every company has their own goals of trying to become water neutral or say carbon neutral in the areas they operate. But this is what we are talking as a topic is how to go beyond the metrics or the measurable what we have been asked to do by AI. So most of the organizations, they have to put 2% of their profit share into corporate responsibility project. They will go ahead and try to do such activities, or the best part is donate to some of the organizations to get rid of that. How many people say that in an organization, if I have to try, I am involving each and every employee into the project which we are doing. Get them a paid time. Saying that if you want to work on a project to develop a model village, every employee can go and spend 2 hours in a month or say 4 hours in a whole year. Just go and work in the actual work rather than donating trees, rather than planting trees. Just go and try to develop something like that. That's where my thought is that if you want, then you have to involve the people in that. And it's just not only employees. You have to take the whole ecosystem together, whether it's government, whether it's the families of the people who you are working with, and for sure the employees and the management people and everybody makes around together, and it kind of drives towards the common purpose of developing that community and trying to sustain the whole processes they are trying to do. That's what the situation.
Thank you. What's your view on the topic and your sense?
Sure. And before I start, I think I'd like to thank all the facility committee who was invited to be here. It's a privilege to be a part of the 10th Conclave of YUKTI, and I think a round of applause to the facilitating and organizing team for putting on such a fantastic show. Both the industries actually look forward to. Whenever I come to this kind of platforms, I take that more than I give. So it is my personal, you say it's a selfish motive for me to kind of get into this kind of platform. Thank you so much. I'll begin with what Dr. Nair has started when he was setting the context for this particular session. Is to do with purpose, and I'll give you one small story here. This story goes back around 1962. Most of us were not born, including myself. But this story is a very, very famous story when President Kennedy went into NASA for the first time. And he walked into the hallway and he made a gesture in the hallway and he asked one simple question to the janitor, what did you do for NASA? And the answer what the janitor gave is, I am trying to put the man on the moon. So we understand right from the janitor to the topmost person who is leading NASA, everybody is motivated with one single purpose that I have to put the man on the moon. That is how strong a purpose is. Coming back to the topic that we are talking here is, and this is to all the Gen Zs, and I have got a great deal of respect for you people because you people are the future leaders, you are the strategists, you are the people who are going to make policies, you are going to make the decision and you are change makers. You are getting into a world of work which is shaped by sustainability, as we are all talking here. And in that particular space, HR is no longer, as my two young friends have been talking at the beginning of the session, HR is not the person who is managing the perks, pays and the policies, no more. It is shifting from the person who used to manage these 3 P's to a person who is the conscience of the organization. Yeah? This is in this era of conscious capitalism, as people say. HR's role is to kind of act like that custodian who is changing from the person who used to manage performance or used to create the performance framework. Now the person is the particular function is if I have to say, he is the activator of purposes. He is the person who is actually instigating the person who is instigating the purpose in each and every individual. Let me come back to one thing that we spoke of, and we are joking to say that we have not come across this word called greenwashing. Yeah? But I also did some quick Google, and ChatGPT is my favorite friend, and I live with yours. So I believe as far as greenwashing is concerned, this is something which is still a blind spot to everyone. What is greenwashing? We say that what we preach and what we practice, there is a hell lot of difference between postering and practicing, right? And that is where HR plays an integral role. It might be in terms of making some sustainable policies with respect to government. And I'll give an example. Some of the examples that are here executed at our company level, it might sound very, very minuscule, but it has got a great impact on the society. It also has an impact on the profitability of the organization. For example, if I'm devising a travel policy, and if I'm talking about a short distance travel, am I prioritizing a railway travel over a air travel? It's very, very simple. It sounds very, very simple. But please imagine the impact of that particular decision, not only on the bottom line, but also on the society and environment at large. And there is a policy at my company that if you have to prioritize and if you have to go and do an air travel, you have to get an express approval from a very, very big senior business leader. It has to be a signed out policy. That's one thing that we are talking about here. We also talk about something called how we are making the green skills more imperative. And why I am saying green skills more imperative and more important? Because these are future fit skills. What are green skills? We are talking about the aptitude, we are talking about the knowledge, we are also talking about the mindset which will help an individual to thrive in an environment which is moving towards this particular era, and which is also kind of enabling a person to be employable in times to come. So we talk about the skills in terms of the core skills in terms of if I talk about the climatic knowledge about climate, if I talk about the design thinking skills, if I talk about the critical thinking skills, which actually joins the dot towards the various ecosystems that we speak of. So these are some of the things we have to be sure, we have to be mindful. And one more thing, when we talk about ESG cannot only be a propagator which is being spoken by the leader. ESG has to be felt. ESG has to be experienced by each and every individual of the organization. I am talking about all the employees. So I can say that I have an organization which is ESG compliant, but that cannot only be remaining in the poster. If my employees are not experiencing by the practices, by the policies and by the belief system of the organization, it only remains on the wall of the organization. It is not being experienced, and that is how my retention, the views of the employees and my stickiness of the employees only grow up if I as an employee, I as an integral part of the organization is feeling what I am experiencing by the purpose, by the policy and by the outcome of the organization. So that will be the initial thought from my side.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, Samantha. Very insightful, and thank you very much, teachers. And are there any questions at this point in time which we can take as part of the one of the questions you have, and we could actually blend it in our discussion.
Just switching everybody's not
Yeah, that's the purpose. Any questions?
What are the metrics which we can use to make sure that the sustainability plan is feasible for a particular company or an industry?
So, the metrics for sustainability. Very good. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, please step. Yeah. Yes.
So when we were talking about DEI, so I had heard a term called tokenism, that is the superficial expression of inclusivity. So how, can you explain about tokenism and what is being done now? That is the actual inclusivity.
What is tokenism, or you want to know?
I knew that, but what is the difference now? What is being done now and what is being done before?
Okay, good, very good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
So when we talk about sustainability, in the industrial sectors, there are local areas. So how do we change the direction so that they understand their organization and their also sustainability?
Very good question. Okay, very good. So that's very good question. I think I'll start off with one question which I picked up from my good friends in the subject. No, there is one thing which really I picked up. That was, how do we balance as a corporate the need for corporate performance? We are, especially for these companies or companies or whatever companies you are, there is a need for short-term performance. And many of these things like ESG do not give returns in the short term. It's a long-term intervention. So, how should leadership approach it? How would HR approach it? Is my question.
I think
Who are the two presented candidates stand up? Yeah. Your names, please. Very good presentation.
I think these guys have done a fantastic homework before they've actually started this particular topic.
Yeah, absolutely. And Saturday after lunch, I was awake. So
I was thinking, is there a need for us to listen to this guys?
Absolutely.
I think going back to where I started, in this, where the paradigm is getting shifted and this shift is quite strong, HR has the power to embed the ESG ecosystem into business very fairly, where they can not only show there is an impact of revenue, but there is a greater impact on the society at large. So I agree, when I am talking about ESG, in a short-term ESG can be seen that why should I put my energy, soul and effort to do something which is not going to bring in benefit, but we have to think beyond profit, and that is where this topic of sustainability comes into picture. I have to think beyond profit, and that is where there is a specific mindset which comes into action. I think Hindi में कहावत है कि जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So you have to embed and you have to integrate ESG into your dashboards. If I talk about HR dashboard, if it is only restricted towards manpower, headcount, or attrition, or your gender balance numbers, I'll come back to your question. That is a very interesting question that you have asked on tokenism. It has to go beyond ESGs. It has to go beyond these matrices. Am I talking about to what extent your employees are participating in green events? What is the productivity of, and how much is the energy per employee productivity? How much I am spending? What is the awareness of ESG in your ecosystem? And let's say, what is your gender balanced participation in various initiatives that we are taking as an organization? If we are integrating these into the KPIs and matrices, and we talk this more often than not in boardrooms, I think then leaders will be more serious. I firmly believe if we can create a case and if we can create a compelling reason for the leaders to believe that this particular standoff or this particular negotiation is beneficial and there are rewards not only for productivity but there are also rewards when you are paying back to your society and paying back to the ecosystem. I don't think leaders will say no to this. But this is HR's prerogative. How are we creating that storyline? How are we creating that storyboard? And how are we integrating the ESG matrices, some of the matrices that I spoke of? And we talk daily about this. There are no days or no hours if I talk about a revenues company. There is no single hour where leaders don't speak about revenues. That's the part and parcel of every discussion. But do they speak about ESGs? No, because I think we need to, there has to be someone and HR should step in and HR has got that particular power because HR as a function is a strategic function which cuts across all the verticals, all the functions of an organization. So HR has got the approachability, HR has got the reach. So it is how are we leveraging this particular approach and reach from our perspective, creating that case, creating that compelling story for leaders to subscribe and to agree to this particular proposition. So that's my take on this.
I completely agree, but I will just switch a couple of here from this time also. This is short-term versus long-term criteria. So, first is that obviously it is clearly what kind of work we are doing this space. So, I don't get those. So, just look at this video and see how the organization is thinking of changing the whole product landscape itself to focus on sustainability. And how then I talk about HR getting partnering and what we can do in this business. That will help. Okay, traditionally, Kirloskar is a diesel engine manufacturer which converts engines into gensets and into such a way. Most of the places you will see gensets operating. Now with the change in old technology and the way the data centers and other markets are coming up, there are a couple of challenges which we face, whether it's about having a space to even put a genset or saying that the genset which is required to run a data center and that load to run the chillers and all is all going to add to carbon footprint, right? So how you make a product which is, and everybody, by the way, every customer which is talking to us now is asking us how we can contribute to their net zero. Because every customer will come and ask us tomorrow. Now the organization has decided we want to work in alternate fuels, fuel cells, battery storage and all. Now as I HR what to do? I just want to know and I can check okay and that's it. So not all the transfers are taken systematically. Even hydrogen gensets at a particular age you do there is a lot of development happening. So as a HR I need to ensure that I get the right talent from external market, which may or may not be possible because sometimes the technology is not existing in the country itself. When we move from say BS4 to BS6, none of the automobile players in this industry knew what BS6 means, apart from that PM and NOx number which was given out of the MPCC board. So people have to start thinking how we can build those skills inside. We call it green skills, we call it niche skills, we call it whatever skills you know. But this is what existing throughout. But now the focus is changing. There is a lot of KPIs, measures which are being talked about and people are doing it. As a HR, we are doing this. Now the next role for as a HR is how you proactively start partnering. Because earlier we were reactive. We will get a mandate, we will come to know this is required and we go and start hiring. But now I know the technology will change in next 3 years' time. Next 3 years, the diesel usage in an engine will be maybe 20%, rest will be blended with something else. So how you ensure that the ecosystem in the talent space is developed or even, so we call it in HRS, buy, borrow or build. So either you can buy from the market, sometimes it's available, you can take the talent, plug it in. Borrow, if you are an MNC, some organization in the world, some country might have seen that product will change, you can borrow the skill from there. We did in my previous organization. But most of the companies have to go and start building those now. So you need to start working on technology, partnerships, trying to learn more from the industry. And sometimes it's academic sector, by the way. So we partner a lot with IIT Mumbai and IIT Chennai to understand what is the next phase. These are two which are good mechanical and the combustion. So we have labs working with them. So we need to understand how this all, and sometimes they are also doing research projects which we get involved in. And we kind of work in partnership. So it's an industry partnership. So there are a lot of ways we can think around. So that's where I would say we as HR have to not only look at short-term contributions from the ESG, but long-term investments which we do today will need manufacturing.
Thanks, definitely elaborating on this. Just add what you said. I think one of the questions also was about how we measure. That makes sense that this is about the short performance in general. For ESG, one of the measures that we have is what is called sustainable development goals measure, defined by the United Nations. How many SDGs are there? And under the 17, how many goals are there? Metrics? 169. Okay, try to get those 17 and 169 embedded in your performance metrics scorecard. Okay. And this is critical because it has to be linked to the business outcomes. The way you define the business is nothing bad. So if you can embed that, that's what an HR person will do in organizations. How do I embed out of the 169 measures between 17 SDGs? into my performance and career process scorecard. Because that gets reviewed. Okay? And the rule in organizations, some of your work in organizations, as I believe for what yourself I work in organizations, you know what gets reviewed by the CEO is what ultimately makes the success. So you need to create that matrix, and I think that's the way we need to do that. There was one question about what's the role of workers in sustainability agenda?
If I can just add one point to so one is what I spoke and I also pointed out. And one more important and critical part is, are you sufficiently incentivizing the metrics that you are putting into your scorecards? Because as at the end of the day, I will work for something for which I am getting incentives. So how are you relating your policies with terms of bonuses and incentives, and how are you integrating the design bonus policy back to the reworked matrices? That's really important. Because come what may, if I am not incentivized, if I am not seeing what's sitting for me, what's different, I will not be able to 100% want to start. After some time, once that inertia is there, you start automatically contributing. But for those initial landing points, initial steps, incentivizing and creating a performance incentive policy analysis is also really important.
Fantastic. Another question that was asked was that what's the role for workers as they drive sustainability? I think an example was also here. I give you the example. You need to get them to feel that they are putting the man in the work. They are involved in it. If they are not involved actively in work, there's a passive involvement and there is activity involvement. The more actively involved you can get them, your workers, the more they will be assessed. How do you do that? You will ask them, maybe I can judge them, they are. मतलब क्या है? Also, if they can improve their work, how does that work connect with their purpose? They are intelligent people. The man on the street or the factory floor is perhaps the most intelligent and savvy as far as this work is concerned. He or she knows his work more than you or me. He will be able to connect. And when you have heard walk the talk, what does walk the talk mean? You're shaking your head. What does walk the talk mean?
You shouldn't just talk, you should do the work and show that, okay, I can do it. You should be the one who
Yes. Yes, thank you. You should walk the talk, and when you are dealing with large organizations, you should also talk the walk. Because storytelling, creating narratives is important for organizations. So you should not only walk the talk, but you should talk the walk. What you should not do is only talk. That creates a problem. If you have to choose between talk and walk, it's fine. But don't just talk. Ideally do both. As leaders, we need to do both. On that front, let me just again back to my panel.
Every time I read phone used to ring, especially after 9 a.m., I was scared. Now what was we got calls for marijuana plant, all this, and the whole night will go medical training to organization. And not only delay or any requirement from any remote location. So it's like responding and getting that. And the worst part was when you hear that you lost somebody, and then I'm like, that's what's very good.
Similar kind of an experience, because it's a similar situation that we have all faced, partnered, and I think we become more richer as agile professionals because these kind of incidences comes once in a decade. You can hear, you can read, but you don't experience. And it was not about experiencing, you were actually partnering with your business team, you were actually helping people on ground to breathe. When I'm saying breathe, to be there, to sustain and operate. I come from an industry which is a 24/7 industry like manufacturing industry where you can't stop radiating. And I have seen people out in the field, they are maintaining towers, they are on a 24/7 O&M basis, still and they are in typical health risk conditions. So as an organization, how have we partnered, how have we ensured safety, and at that point in time, one of the important things that also kind of instigated in myself as well as teams at large is the seriousness about mental health. Because it was not about operational exigencies, it was not about occupational hazard, it is about how you are hovering during those days, months and years. So I think from a world perspective, from an environment perspective, the seriousness of mental health actually got more instigated and more blown up from the COVID times, and we actually partnered. That was the beginning of the journey of how are you actually talking about mental health, how are you actually kind of addressing mental health issues. So that is one of my experiences that I wanted to do.
So, previously also hearing on our different talks, so passionate about movements that are closer with them. So I'm curious, if you had to pass on one sustainability related value to the next generation of HR leaders, what would it be? If you had to pass on one sustainability related value to the next generation of HR leaders, what would it be?
One sustainability related value to the next generation. Next generation, what advice? They are all very intelligent, connected. What would I pass on?
Close to you.
Pass on.
So I think we create initiative. Okay. Whatever you do, whichever profession you use, there is always consistency in handling the process. Try that resistance, try to resist. That will be my suggestion wherever you are looking, can be at home also together. Any stage you can contribute to realizing the system.
So, my advice is like different sustainability or not. Shortcuts don't work in the long run. There is an implication of shortcuts, and while it's very fashionable and very tempting to take shortcuts, it's like you're in the road, you want to many cities they take the wrong side driving. It saves 10 minutes. And once you get into the habit of taking shortcuts and jugards, it's very tempting, it becomes a habit. Career in life that doesn't pay off. And the same applies in the workplace. If you try to save cost, the implications would be far more dangerous for the organization and the society. So your role is very integrated. As a system leader, you are not just working for the organization. You have a role towards the larger ecosystem. And for that, shortcuts, avoid shortcuts.
Two things. I think we've spoken about how are we entering a new world of work. We refer to the World Economic Forum report of 2025 by 170 billion jobs already generated and 90 millions of jobs are getting redundant. So I think two values, two important things which is relevant for everyone. One is resilience. The kind of environmental and the global economic shift which is happening, resilience is very, very important for each and every person on earth. The second thing is something called lifelong learning. You don't fail to learn, you don't stop learning. Because if you fail to learn, if you stop learning, then your agility to pick up new things and your employability is at stake. And when I'm talking about employability, I'm not talking about job. So these are the two things from my point of view. I think these are the two suggestions. Otherwise, I think you guys are much more prudent, wise, and intelligent as compared to people sitting here. Like these are the kind of systems that I build on day in, day out basis, and that will be able to advise on my suggestions.
It may not be very inspiring for all of us in this stage, but years from now you will work. You always see in your career process with your partners, with your faculty, with your colleagues. I can say for sure that majority of you, if not all, your career will not be easy. There will be disruptions, there will be breaks, which will be the nature of the game. Job loss was a taboo at some point in time. It's part of the game. So be ready to face a non-linear career. And it's better to accept it and prepare for it rather than fix it. I know you are not really, the Saturday afternoon is not the kind of advice you want. Like I said, I'd rather be remembered than be popular.
And it's also brings in one thought, if I can spend 30 seconds. I always believe that career is like climbing a mountain. When you climb a mountain, you always don't go vertical. Sometimes you take vertical, you take diagonal, you stay. Sometimes you come down, sometimes you take a horizontal shift. But you know that is an epic that I want to reach. So these are the phases that you are having in your life. Stay put and stay strong. That's something that is really important. That is what I believe Dr. Nayan is also saying. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Now, I would like to open the floor for any questions to the students.
Thank you, Dr. Nayan. So, thank you, Dr. Nayan, Mr. Singh, and Mr. Chaudhary for this wonderful opportunity. Well, my question is, how can HR use how can HR use and onboarding So how can HR use recruitment and then onboarding to attract and then to retain individuals whose talent really fits with the company's goals and their needs? Because I believe that these individuals are on true assets for the company.
If we understand the question right, it is about recruitment and onboarding, right?
Yes, sir.
And you also asked how can this lead to retention?
Yes, sir. And then how can we attract and then retain these individuals? Because I believe that these individuals truly is an asset for the company.
See, anybody who is saying process of talent acquisition, onboarding, and retention. How you do that? I'm still.
Yes, so my question is, how can HR use recruitment and onboarding to attract and then retain individuals whose talent really fits with the company's goal? Because I believe that these people are interested for
whose values fit in the company goals.
Yes, whose talent really fits with the company's goal.
Okay. So now that's a very good question actually. The thing is, earlier organizations used to go to candidates, whether it's college or whether it's lateral or workings, and they were looking for people who can align with organizational values. The table has turned now, people who want to join organization try to see if their value system fits in the organizational value system or not. Right? So so balancing both the activities is very important. There will be certain common values between the individual and the organization align, and there will be a harmonious way. There will be certain conflicts on certain value systems which organizations or individual will not align. You cannot do anything about retaining those people, or even an organization is not like retaining people who are not aligned to the value system of organization. So organizations will always, some of the organizations do change the values. It's not that they are, after a decade of having a value system, they get a change in the kind of technology and people will be behind generations. Even the value system of organizations. So if you talk about manufacturing organization, work-life balance policies such as flexi working from home were not existing. Today you go and see any of the organization manufacturers, they do have not for shop employees because they have to be on a machine to work. But other people who were supposed to not get these kind of policies are getting these policies that are being designed now for manufacturing organizations. So you will see why it's so, because you all want to work in an organization which provides flexibility, which provides you a platform where you can come anytime, go anytime, till the time you deliver your work. Right? That's what everybody wants now. But organizations who have still a punching policy 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., if you don't do then half-day salary and all, will not be able to attract talent. So sometimes organizations also look at their policies, frameworks and change. But primarily, if you ask that you will hire somebody who is not aligned to values, that is a question which I will debate separately. I will not debate here.
It's a very good question. It's a very interesting question. Should organizations take a deep, cut and dry approach on not recruiting people who don't fit their values? Okay. Actually, I have slightly different approach to it. One is there are some core values of an organization, and then there are business and socially derived values. The core values should not change. The outer value can just imagine a circle core and outer circle business and social. The core doesn't change, but the business and social values need to change. So if fundamental difference between the core values is not high. But if it's about the business and the social value, in fact, I would say that you should have or not. Because it's not just about cultural symmetry, it's about cultural creations. For organization sustainability, it's just not cultural match. You need to create, you need to augment your culture. So to that extent, I will be very open to hire a person who matches with the core values, but may not align with the business values or activities. Can I explain? connect offline if you know. Any other questions? You understand, you get the answer to the questions from both of us. Okay.
So I first of all wish to thank the panel. First of all, I wish to thank the panel for giving me the opportunity. So my question is regarding the DEI context. So currently we see a lot of companies crunching down the DEI in the guise of effectiveness and efficiency and availability. So as an HR, what can happen in order to change the perception of the employee so that it can perform better, so that mindset altogether can change?
What is the question?
DEI taking a crunch, DEI, company are taking on DEI. So in the guise of they simply perceive that DEI cannot perform better. So it's taking a crunch of effectiveness and efficiency.
So can you just be more specific? What do you mean by DEI? Because it includes a lot of.
Yes, sir.
Are you talking about just gender diversity or are you talking about other? Overall.
The perception is that DEI is an organization that sets expectations. Okay. How do you change this? Am I right?
Yes.
I personally feel DEI is a very good tool to leverage for any organization because it's just not about the number of representation, it's the diversity of thoughts which are on the table. The way you see and the way I see, all organizations like panelists and rotate, everybody sees all the different timelines and I figure out which is the perfect way, right? So it's like you can use it to your leverage, and ideally, if you ask me, this is good for me because I have in my team people from different cities and states working with me. I have people working with different genders with me, and especially different thought process. So if I hire everyone from the same industry, so I would like to only inputs for people who work. What's happening in different other industries is something I can't get. So, if you use the DEI in the right spirit, using the equal opportunity for employment, I think most organizations will work wonders. But if we take it again, metrics and measurable and quota system, probably that will be the place where this small initiatives which you do will be done and gone out of the way.
Slightly different one, right? I think the proof of the eating, if you are first of all get convinced yourself, if you take the decision, first of all get convinced yourself at the level, saying that this is good for your business. Okay? One of those can probably say, I really believe that is good for your business. Once you are convinced, go out and hire a person without compromising on the quality, without taking a mark. Don't do the data, focus on that. Get the results out, show you statistics saying that this is how the business has changed. The most stringent statistics would lead us to if you show us. And like that point, do not do it for the sake of it. And service is doing yourself for your organization. You are doing the organization and you are doing the cost of being there all over. If you do that.
A few years back, we saw that. We all saw that when the years like that. And then just to start kicking the numbers, people did that. And that's where the failure happened. People realize to close the study. But yeah, you have to look at this. If you're not convinced, don't do it.
I believe diversity, equity, and inclusion is a journey. You really believe, as they are saying, and if it becomes a scorecard, if it becomes a number game, then you are actually asking for failure. If you are not convinced that there is a case, and there are numerous examples of studies which shows that diversity of gender, diversity of thoughts, perspective, background, differences when putting on the table, it increases productivity. So it's a case study. It's a genuine case study. It's a real case. So we don't have to debate on the fact that DEI is not progressive for any organization. How are you institutionalizing that thought with the critical stakeholder of the company? How are you creating that competitive case? And if your leadership line is absolutely convinced, then how are you making that change happen in the organization? Because your leadership might believe that this is the best thing you have, but your frontline managers are averse to do this change. So you have to align the entire people in the chain of hierarchy before you are bringing this change of change. If you have aligned one part of the organization and 90% of the organization is not aligned to that, and your frontline manager, believe me, the frontline managers and the middle managers are the pushing pivot in this particular line. If they are not aligned, this particular mission of bringing in DNI into our culture is going to be a failure. Otherwise, it is only going to be a number game. You will keep taking people, you will keep onboarding people, but at the same time you will be losing people. Your net is going to be negative. That is going to be a failed case study and narrative for the organization. And people will say, see what happened, you onboarded people, they did not succeed, so this is not going to get successful. So before you actually usher this kind of principle, alignment is very important. Once you align, once you are confident, once you are absolutely convinced about this, go full throttle and trust.
You have the energy Saturday. The battery निकल गया. But my short answer would be the first get yourself convinced. If you convince yourself how the battery is smart, okay, and then try to convince your boss. And I think that's the essential part of leadership. I think someone mentioned that we are also talking about the skills, right? One of the four skills that you need to have the next future is going to be your ability to influence without having control. Okay. And the great place to practice that is this campus. Content is a very good place to practice how to influence people without you having control. And that's going to be the future because one of the days when people report to you, even if they report to you in the sense that the loyalty factor is for the company. People don't maybe social as one system there are outdated economics. There's something called positional power. Right? Positional power is gone. Maybe we are the government may be there, but because of a particular position of the what still is relevant, hugely relevant, will be your influence. Your credibility power, your competency power. These things will be you need influence without exercising control, and that's what you need. You're convinced that this is important. Just as important as your company. How many people are companies? Good, very happy. Very happy. So, you need to get a concept of Karunga. Punjab में अगर कोई बोले जिगरा चाहिए बस. Yes, you take more.
Yeah, you have the time. I think we can hear you. Wait, we want someone else to hear.
One of the core competencies of standardization will be medicine at a lower cost, or in case of product, after the introduction of the camera, we kind of switch the business model from making business to making industrial chemical. So, core competencies define the core competencies of some easy tasks, and they can define how an HR person evaluates a candidate according to business side, that how they evaluate the candidate when they can understand what their mindsets are, when they evaluate if the candidate goals are aligning with the company's role or the role competency.
Not only you ask this question, not only when I look at the CV, I'll give an example. When it's actually sheet, I look at the project categorization. And I look at how have you implemented and executed the project. What are the kind of skills you have shown while you have executed the project? What are the kind of collaboration skills that you have shown? What are the kind of problem solving skills that you have shown? What are the kind of innovative skills that you have shown? And how are you articulating that in front of the person who is the stakeholder who is actually dynamic? So writing something on your CV is something different, but how have you approached a particular situation? What are the skills that you have actually applied in solving that problem actually gives a good view of the core competence that you possess and the value system that you possess. And as an HR person, that's a brilliant opportunity for us to integrate your value system into our company. And if your why and our mixes, magic happens. And that is a good decision. Did I ask you a question?
I get all success for sure. How open a person is to learn, and first is unlearn, and then learn, and then learn. I was talking to someone who is saying, I give my example to this. I am not MBA in HR or I am MBA in Sales and Marketing and Transactions. My bachelor's is the same. No relationship with that. That's a certificate degree. I am not accidental with that. I use my equality. And that is the way I can So the way I look at this, how open you are to learn what you have learned here. Sorry, now I'm making this, but practical and theory is very different. Now, even colleges and institutes are partnering with industry to understand what works here, so that the academic program is designed like that. And there are things happening. Now, if you know, we take used to have just 2 months, 6 weeks of internship. Now they are open to give 6 months of internship. How many of you have BTech here? And all of you did 6 months of internship? But just 1 month, check box. Look at the hands. Now, if you go and talk to colleges, they are open to give that 6 months of internship. Because we get to evaluate you and you need to learn the practicality. The biggest issue which you will face when you join a corporate is transitioning from the syllabus to a corporate. वो 724/7 पढ़ाई करके वो अपने आ जाएगा कि I can work for 24/7 because that now I'm trained to exert myself. But how effective or efficient I will be in that, and no corporate requires me to work for 24/7 like that. No corporate wants to work for 24/7. We also want people to take time off, rest, mental health is important, communication, and mental health is important. So you have to balance that. So these are the skills which people can learn and relearn and learn is very important.
I think
there's one. Yeah, there's last question.
Good afternoon, respected degree. So, based on this discussion, we learned that culture of company health is purpose employees a ground level by company. But since employees come from various backgrounds, how does an HR ensure that the values of the company get instilled in every strata of the entire?
Good. Okay, so I think I mentioned at the start of the presentation, it's a combination of how do you align the different perspectives into a larger purpose, you need to put it in a larger purpose, and also push it through from the design of policies and processes. For example, in hiring, you put it. In promotion, you put it. In performance, you put it. Okay. And that's where an HR person needs to be very cognizant about how do I align integration, the identity. Diversity is always there. Contemporary diversity is the norm. But can we align this to a larger purpose? Secondly, once you do that, I need a leader has to explain, the HR needs to explain that why this is that we are getting the award. So I give the example of SISA, right? There was a norm in SISA, an unwritten norm, says that there are some companies that will not hire. Because people know that those set of employees, great employees, we will up in this situation. But essentially, an average employee to that organization should not align with their purposes. But there are some exceptions, of course, but generally that is okay.
I really don't do this. I am not about anything about HR like that. But my main question is, why everything cancels the case of HR? None of this is asking is HR's responsibility. It's his direct responsibility of everybody who is working in the organization. Today, if you look at progressive organizations are there, even performance management system process governance is HR. But who will run the talent? It's the manager. Recruitment is as the responsibility of the manager as HR recruitment team. We can facilitate the process, we can negotiate, we can get the person to you. But hiring decisions, if we don't go into it like many faces, whoever is running a relationship is seizing the relationship, he won't like that, so why HR which is comfortable by hiring is not done like that? Equal partnership is business. So for anything we do, whether it's sustainability, whether it's any cultural change, it is a responsibility. Keep that in mind. Don't create a silos. HR will do and business will follow. It's going to work together.
Okay. Thank you.
One thing, just to add on what both the gentlemen say, this is a pertinent question. Culture comes from different parts of the world when you are hiring, you see the values matching, and as Mr. Singh said, you empower your line managers and your function to have a system where your onboarding and induction is really universal. And that is where cultural integration happens. I hire a person with the right set of values which is matching in my value system, and that is where the marriage happens. If the marriage is going to be lasting long, depends on how I am onboarding and doing a proper relationship for that person. Where he spoke about empowering the function to collaborate with HR to have a proper relationship. And that is the cultural integration happens. Just add
So, what is this question?
I think, as I said, as I started in the beginning, I am taking back more than I have given. So thank you so much. I think it's a very energetic audience and very participative audience from our side. A big round of applause. Please one our team for giving us such a
I think it was a great interaction for me and faculty and students as well, and special thanks to members of the community, IIC. So I think amazing job done. You are a bunch of young leaders in this group, and wish you all the best. Do well, and whatever you do it with passion. Thank you.
Committee and wonderful audience. Saturday after 9 minutes audience. So cheers for you. So give on yourself. I give you a homework. My homework to you is that homework for hostels is that go and start writing your purpose. And how you make yourself sustainable in your work. Do that for yourself. Share with the friends you want to keep yourself. Wish you all the best and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you for inspiring and engaging panelists for responding to all the questions with such clarity. You can now see the audience and enjoy the party. We would now like to invite Dr. Conclave to continue the conference.
Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and fellow students. I, Dr. Vedant Gora, am honored to once again extend a heartfelt welcome to everyone present at the 10th Annual HR Conclave, YUKTI. With our theme, HR as the custodian of sustainability and purpose, being explored so thoughtfully by our esteemed guest speakers, we gain a deeper understanding of how HR can drive long-term organizational resilience by embedding purpose at the core of business strategy, championing ethical practices, and fostering inclusive, people-centered culture that prioritize both profit and the planet. I take this moment to express a sincere gratitude to all the guest speakers for sharing their profound knowledge and experiences. I am confident that today's discussions have provided us with plenty to reflect on, insights to act upon, and invaluable lessons to carry forward. To recapture some of the highlights from today's event, starting with Dr. Prasad Nayak, he delved into how purpose is felt and experienced, but can't always be limited. He also mentioned that culture is how you define purpose of an organization. The 3 I's, influence, identity, and inspire, offered a roadmap for organizations to navigate challenges with agility and foresight. His fresh approach and unique outlook brought immense value to this discussion. We are grateful for the clarity and depth you brought to the discussion, sir. Thank you. Following this, Mr. Amarjeet Singh shared his expertise on buzzwords such as DEI and how they are made measurable. He also mentioned how organizations today want to contribute towards net zero. He presented an analytical view on the importance of aligning strategic flexibility with organizational goals, highlighting actionable takeaways for all of us. Your remarks have not only informed, but also challenged us to think differently. Thank you for such an engaging session, sir. Finally, Mr. Sumanta Chaudhary emphasized on green skills and how they are the future to build sustainable organizations. He also explained how HR has the power to embed ESG into an organization. Thank you for sharing such thought-provoking reflections, sir. Your eloquence, depth of thought, and clarity have truly elevated this time. Thank you for your valuable presence, sir. On behalf of the entire IIM Amritsar community, I, Dr. Vedant Vora, extend my deepest gratitude to all the guest speakers for their invaluable contributions. You have not only broadened our perspectives, but also set a benchmark for the quality of discourse at this conclave. Thank you.
Now, we invite you to indulge in a brief but captivating glimpse of today's event, diligently captured and crafted by the Media and Public Relations Committee and 50mm, the Photography Club of IIM Amritsar.
On behalf of every individual involved in organizing this conclave, we would like to extend our heartfelt vote of thanks to all of you for making this conclave a resounding success. Our sincere gratitude extends to esteemed guests, your willingness to share valuable knowledge and experiences as ambassadors. We are truly grateful for the profound insights and wisdom you have provided. To our students in our chair, students in our office, and all the honorable committee members, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support and guidance. We are truly fortunate to have your serving us. To the IT team, thank you for ensuring the smooth running of our day. Your hard work is appreciated. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to Hrithvi, the HR Club of IIM Amritsar, for their efforts in setting relevant and engaging context for the day. A special vote of thanks to the faculty and Dr. Tama. Your unwavering support have been instrumental in hosting the event. The success of this conclave owes much to the collaborative efforts of the media and public relations community of IIM. We appreciate the efforts of the placements committee to maintain the necessary decorum and protocol. We are immensely grateful for 50mm, the Photography Club of IIM for their never-ending support. Finally, a big round of applause for the Industry Interaction Committee for making this event a huge success. And finally to you, the students of IIM Amritsar, thank you for your constant support, patience, and innovation. Truly grateful for your participation. Once again, thank you to everyone for making this